If you're setting up a golf simulator or upgrading your home theater, the Epson L695SE is one projector that catches your eye. With a laser light source, 4K enhanced resolution technology, and an impressive 6,000 lumens of brightness, it promises a bright, vibrant, and detailed image. In this review, we're going to dive into how it performs in real-world use, highlighting what makes it stand out and why it could be a great fit for your setup. Here's a list of the specs for the L695SE projector. Setting up the Epson projector was easy thanks to its built-in lens shift. Lens shift allows the projector to physically adjust the lens inside the unit, shifting the image up, down, left, or right without losing pixel quality. This made it simple to fine-tune the image alignment without relying on digital keystone correction. When additional adjustments were needed, the 2D keystone correction feature provided plus or minus 30 degrees of vertical and horizontal correction to square up the image. The short throw ratio of 0.5 to 1 meant we could place the projector close to the screen while still achieving a large immersive image. We were able to fit a 108-inch by 173-inch screen comfortably at 7.5 feet from projector to screen. Another huge selling point of this projector is the geometric correction if you have a curved or unconventional surface that you're projecting onto. There's a lot of options here. For this curved screen setup, we're working with the curved surface option, which we found to be the fastest way to adjust the image. Once you start tweaking, you can see the impact immediately. Pulling the horizontal and vertical lines in to adjust the image is really simple and quick. Some sections of the screen, especially the top corners, might look a little bit off if you try to push the curve too far. That said, for how fast and easy this process is, the edges look fine and the projected image lines up well. In the end, it's all about fine-tuning. You'll likely spend some time adjusting scale and corners and curves, but once it's dialed in, the results are great. And you can always use other methods to warp the image if the results aren't perfect for you. So here you can see the inputs and outputs on the back of the L695SE projector. We won't go over all of the inputs, but it has what you would expect from a projector, a couple of HDMI inputs and outputs, a 3.5mm audio output, and it is key to note that this projector does not come with internal speakers, so you will need to have an external audio source to play any sounds. Next, we conducted a brightness test using a light meter to measure the luminance on the screen. The Epson delivered a lux reading of 300 lumens at a distance of about 9.5 feet from the projector to the screen. It's seriously bright, and that's brighter than a lot of the other projectors that we've tested in this range. And that makes it a great fit for simulator spaces where you're not always in total darkness. Next, we took a look at the projector's color, dynamic range, and sharpness. First off, the colors. Overall, they look really nice and vibrant and pretty true to life. The yellows especially stand out, which is impressive since a lot of projectors struggle with those. They can get a little orange in the gradients, but it's still much better than most that we've seen. The reds and blues look super vibrant and accurate. The greens though, especially in the circles on the side, lean a little yellow compared to what you'd see on a monitor. The gradients overall are smooth, although you can spot some banding in the greens and maybe a touch in the blues. There's nothing extreme, but we felt it was worth noting. And just for reference, we're looking at the projector in its standard profile with no custom settings and no tweaks. Now, dynamic range. This one is really solid. You can clearly see each shade of gray down the gradient, and the black to white ramp looks smooth and consistent. It doesn't have the deepest contrast we've ever tested, which you can tell when comparing the black border of the screen against the enclosure flaps. But we think that's in part because of the projector's brightness. This thing puts out a ton of light, which can reflect off of the screen and into the enclosure and raise the ambient light levels. Moving on to sharpness. The image is crisp, and while it isn't a true 4K projector, Epson uses a pixel shifting technique that gives you a 4K looking image. Up close, you can clearly make out the individual lines and patterns on the test chart. That said, we did notice softness in the corners, especially the ones furthest from the lens. It seems that the lens has a sweet spot, not fully zoomed in, not fully zoomed out, where the focus is best. Up at the top in the kind of cross-hatching area, you can clearly see the individual squares in that section. However, the squares, instead of being white like they should be, look a little bit gray, and we think that's because of the 4K enhancement feature that Epson uses. So next, let's talk about chromatic aberration. On high contrast edges, you can see a bit of green and magenta fringing, and it's not noticeable in normal use, but if you're really pixel peeping, it's there. And honestly, it's one of the more pronounced cases that we've seen recently. This isn't something that you would probably ever notice when you're using the projector in a sim, but just from the technical side of things, we thought it was worth noting. Overall though, the projector delivers excellent brightness, great color performance, solid dynamic range, and sharpness that holds up well, especially in the center of the image. Next, we ran through a few different courses on GS Pro software to show what gameplay looks like on the Epson L695SE. Here's an example using video to demonstrate the picture quality for those planning on using their setup for movies or video content. We also tested the projector in a non-light controlled environment where ambient brightness was about 5.7 lux. This test provided an accurate representation of how the screen will appear in various lighting conditions. So our final thoughts, L695SE is a strong option if you need brightness and solid color performance in a golf simulator or multi-purpose space. As for usability, the projector is easy to set up, and Epson's reputation for reliability definitely helps here. Fan noise is minimal for how bright this thing runs, and the build feels really sturdy. It may not be the sharpest or highest contrast projector out there, but for the price and what it delivers, it is a very compelling pick. All in all, we think that this is definitely a projector that you should consider for your setup. So that is all we have for today. If you have any questions on this Epson projector, or if there's any other projectors you want to see us review, please let us know in the comments below, and we will see you in the next one.